welcome to today's masterclass. It's on Advantage Plus shopping campaigns. Believe it or not, they've already been around, at least here in Australia, for 12 months. They launched in the US a little bit before that, depending on when you're joining us from around the world. They've been around for a little bit of time, but there's been a lot of tweaks. We wanted to let the dust settle because it has changed things pretty dramatically. And we're really excited today to talk you through exactly what this is, how they work, and some of the ad creative options that you can use to ideally make these campaigns as successful as possible. Now, depending on time and against my better judgment, because I don't usually do this because it can be a little bit daunting and confusing to people when they see it, but against my better judgment, I will jump onto the ad platform. I've actually got one of our members who's allowed us to use her account. I'm actually going to show you how quick and how easy it is to set up an Advantage Plus shopping campaign. What I won't be doing is showing you how to create ads because that's a whole different topic, but I'll give you some ad creative ideas. So let's dive in. What is an Advantage Plus shopping campaign? Just to back up a little bit and think about the way that we used to do things. If we wanted to have an advertising funnel, what would we need to do? We need to set up separate campaigns for where people were in their buying journey with us. And what I mean by that is that some people will have just interacted with your brand for the very first time. Some people will have already engaged with your brand a little bit and is considering whether or not they want to buy from you. So they might be in the consideration or the conversion buyer stage, or maybe in your email list. And then some people will be at that decision stage where they know who you are, they're really engaged with your products, and they're maybe just waiting for a reason to buy from you. What Advantage Plus shopping campaigns do is they combine all of that into one campaign. Meta realized that the challenge with advertising on their platform was exactly that. There was too many different campaigns that you needed to have. It was quite confusing, particularly for people that were brand new to the ad platform to get right. And if you're wanting just a single campaign at each one of those different audience buyer stages, then it wouldn't necessarily be as effective because it didn't have retargeting set up, for example. Advantage Plus Shopping, what it does is it combines it all into a single campaign. So we're combining awareness, we're combining the lower buyer stages where we're retargeting people who are already aware of us, plus retention as well. It can actually target existing customers. A couple of core features when it comes to these campaigns. Firstly, it's a single campaign for conversions. It's going to combine all of your audiences into one: cold prospects, warm prospects, and existing customers. The second is that there are fewer inputs. They're much more streamlined campaign creation, which basically means it's faster. And what Meta is doing here is now saying, we know better. We were giving you too many options when it came to creating a campaign, and we're asking you to answer too many questions. But the reality is, thanks to advancements in technology with advertising on social media, it is actually better that Meta handles this and they tell you what the inputs should be in your particular campaign. The third thing, which is a big change, is a very broad targeting. So it's relying on AI. It's looking at the people that are interacting or engaging with your particular ad, and then it's profiling those people, and then it's putting the ad in front of more people that resemble those ideal customers that you have. And the way in which it does that is to start by going very broad. We're not using detailed targeting, but instead starting broad, letting the ad algorithm work out who's responding to the ads, and then letting it do its thing and target those people more to ideally put relevant ads in front of people. What are some of the benefits of this? Firstly, better campaign performance. It's automating the targeting, the optimization, the placement, the creative. It's using data-driven decisions instead of asking you to make those decisions, which is ultimately better. The second is that using that data, there's more reliance on AI and less on the advertiser. Already touched on that. And as a result, it's going to get smarter over time. The longer that we run these campaigns, the more data that the ad algorithm has, and therefore the better it's going to become over time. Now, take this stat with a grain of salt, but Meta is claiming that people who use Advantage Plus shopping campaigns on average generate a 32% increase in return on ad spend. So that's huge. 32% increase in return on ad spend. But I put a little asterisk next to that because, of course, this is general data across all of their campaigns. And when you break this down advertiser by advertiser, those results will vary. The second benefit is easier and faster to set up. It's a streamlined setup with fewer steps and choices required. The ad platform used to be big and daunting, and a lot of people didn't advertise because they were scared that doing so would mean that they lost money because they weren't sure whether or not the inputs that they were putting into it were correct or not. With this, it's much simpler. In fact, we only have two stages. We don't have a campaign level, an ad set level, and an ad level. They've somewhat combined the campaign and ad set level, and I'll show you this when we jump onto the platform. And as a result, it's quicker, it's easier to set up, and it's easier to understand. It's based on best practices. So they've looked at what's worked and applied that to these Advantage Plus shopping campaigns. It is tailored to certain types of organizations. I'll talk about who this is for and who it works best for. And then finally, it provides users with less ad fatigue. So there's up to 150 different ad creative combinations. And we can do this by providing options with headlines, options with the primary text, and also the media that we're providing to people. So it's going to deliver greater scale. When Meta was relying on you as the advertiser to choose the audience, there was always a risk that you were actually excluding regions or demographics or interests of people who could actually be a potential customer. One of the key arguments for these Advantage Plus shopping campaigns is that it will reach new audiences beyond those potentially who you even thought might be interested in buying your product. It's going to cover the full spectrum of purchase intent. It doesn't matter where people are in that buying journey with you. Every audience buyer stage is covered with this. This is the key advertising funnel that we've been teaching now for years. Not really relevant when you're running an Advantage Plus shopping campaign anymore. In fact, we only now need two campaigns, whereas before we would say have an awareness campaign, maybe a consideration campaign, depending on what type of business you have. Definitely have a conversion campaign to try and get people into your email list, and then have a decision campaign retargeting any of those warm audiences. Again, don't need this if we're running an Advantage Plus shopping campaign. We really only need the Advantage Plus shopping campaign and potentially an ad creative testing campaign, which I'll talk about towards the end. In terms of demographics, interests, behaviors, that targeting that we used to talk about, hey, go and get your audience persona, fill that in. If you're running an Advantage Plus shopping campaign, you don't need that either. These are some of the things that have really changed in our campaign strategy. Now, again, this isn't necessarily for everyone. If you are someone who isn't using an Advantage Plus shopping campaign, then these things are relevant. This is just for people running these Advantage Plus shopping campaigns, or ASC. A couple of case studies. This one's called Board Socks. They were able to achieve a 50% lower cost per conversion, which meant holding their budget steady. They doubled their conversions, doubled the number of online sales they were able to generate. Plix, which is an Indian wellness company, they were able to achieve a 51% increase in their return on ad spend and a 31% decrease in customer acquisition costs using ASC campaigns. Pilgrim, which is a fashion brand, was able to lower their cost per purchase by 26% and increase their return on ad spend by 21%. All of these case studies would have been taken from the Meta website. Of course, they're going to show you all of the best results that have come from this. But certainly when you look at the sheer volume of case studies they've been able to provide and that overall data and the degree to which they are pushing these campaigns, it's definitely something you need to be looking at. Who should use these campaigns? Direct-to-consumer e-commerce is the obvious one for these campaigns. If you transact online and you are looking to increase the number of online sales that you have, then this is definitely the right option for you. They are pushing all e-commerce businesses to use ASC campaigns. I don't think it necessarily has to be direct to consumer. There are a lot of B2B businesses that transact online. Let's just say you're a office supplies company, right? It can be a B2B e-commerce business as well, but definitely any e-commerce business needs to be using Advantage Plus shopping campaigns. Consumer packaged goods, also known as fast-moving consumer goods, things like toothpaste, cosmetics, etc. This will work really well if they're selling online. Or if you're a single brand advertiser, let's just say you're a dentist. Now, you don't necessarily need to be transacting online. You can change the conversion event to people who fill out a particular form. You can still use Advantage Plus shopping campaigns for those purposes as well. It doesn't have to be an online sale. It can just be any conversion that occurs off platform. When we say off platform, it means off Instagram, off Facebook, and on a website on your landing page. It doesn't have to be e-commerce. Really important thing to clear up. A couple of things though, to make these campaigns work. Firstly, it's good to have what's called an always on strategy, because these campaigns rely on the ad algorithm to work out over time what your ideal customer looks like, profile them, and then put the ads in front of more people that look like those same people. If you're running a very short campaign that's for a week leading up to an event launch, then it's not going to have enough time to compute. So ideally, these are the type of campaigns that you have running all of the time. The second thing is that they recommend you have a budget for a minimum of 20 conversions per week, ideally 50. Now that's great, but if you're just getting started, how do you know how much each cost per conversion is? The answer is, we would say around $20 per day is what you need to have as an absolute minimum budget to get these campaigns to work. Okay? We would say the best starting point is $50, but a good starting point would be around $30 per day. The days of $5, $10 a day is really challenging. When we see advertisers do that, they tend to not get results. And if you think about it, if your cost per conversion is $30 and you're running $5 a day, you don't get a conversion until every 6 days. And if you're only getting a conversion every 6 days, it's going to take a long time for the ad algorithm to optimize and work things out for you. So $20 per day is probably the absolute minimum you can run these campaigns with. We recommend an experimental budget for 2 to 3 months. In that time, hopefully you will generate some conversions, but you'll wrap your head around investing $20 a day for 2 months and potentially not getting any results out of that, because these aren't a silver bullet. In all cases where we've pushed our members onto these, we've seen results come off the back of it, but you need to be in there for the long haul. If you go into ASC campaigns and you pull the pin after 7 days, 10 days, 14 days, even a month, maybe the learnings are just around the corner for the ad algorithm. It's got close to working it out, but it hasn't quite cracked it yet. But we just need to give it time. You need to have that experimental budget and be willing to lose that money in order to train the ad algorithm to work out how to deliver these campaigns. We need maximum creative flexibility. So if you're in the marketing role and you don't have control, or there's very strict controls over the ad creative, you might find this a little bit frustrating because it does rely on testing lots of different creative options. And then finally, you need both the pixel and the conversion API set up correctly. These campaigns will not work anywhere near as effectively if you only have the metapixel set up. This is a whole nother topic. These are the only website builders that have what's called native integrations. Typically WordPress, Wix, and Shopify it works really well for. Otherwise, you need to use something called Stape is probably the recommendation if you built your website on something different. This is a paid API that helps you to set up a conversions API. I think from memory, it's about $10 per month US that you need to pay, and that'll work pretty well. And that's actually what Meta recommends. There's a few other ones there. Zapier is another one that works very similar to Stape. We do recommend engage a web developer, because if you mess this up, essentially it's sending the wrong data back to Meta, which means the whole optimization is somewhat in vain. If you haven't yet built your website, we do recommend you choose either WordPress, Wix, or Shopify. From an advertising point of view, of course, there's other considerations that you want to take into account when you are building a website other than just advertising on Meta, but these are the ones we do generally recommend. I'm going to jump over into the platform and I'm going to show you how to create an Advantage Plus shopping campaign. What we do is we jump into our campaigns in Meta and we click create. The Advantage Plus shopping campaigns are going to be found down when you're selecting the sales objective. So you select sales objective and you'll notice here that it's got not just catalog sales, but also conversions. You can use it for any action that you are trying to achieve on a website or landing page. We click continue. Now, this is where it's a little bit different than it used to be. In the old days, you'd have what's called a manual sales campaign. These are still relevant in a lot of situations, but you'll notice that the default option that Meta now proposes to you is Advantage Plus shopping campaign. They'll tell you it's streamlined, it's tailored, and it's using best practices. And it'll tell you why it's recommended this to you. In this case, this is a fashion brand who has the metapixel and the conversions API setup, which is why it's being recommended. Click next. The first thing you'll notice is that we don't have 3 levels. In the past, you'd have campaign level, where you set your objective, potentially the budget for the overall campaign, ad set level, all of the settings for the campaign, and then ad level is where you created the ad. With Advantage Plus shopping campaigns, there's only 2 levels. They've combined the campaign level and the ad set level into one. If we click on this preset settings, you'll see that dynamic creative is off. They don't use that for Advantage Plus shopping campaigns. They force you to use Advantage Plus placements, which means you don't have control over where the ads are shown, but there is something I'm going to show you where you can go in and change that. And also age. You can't dictate what age there is unless you go into your advertiser settings. Scroll down. If you do fall into one of these special ad categories, you have to declare that. Now you'll come down to the conversion section. I just want to spend a little bit of time talking you through this conversion section. So you'll see that you can't drive sales and conversions on your website or your app unless you have an app connected to this. If you're wondering why you can't do this, it's because you probably don't have an app correctly set up. Now, the performance goals, you'll see that the default for this is maximize number of conversions. This isn't the right campaign if you're trying to maximize the value of a conversion. In some instances where you only want to focus on high value conversions, you would need to go out and use a different manual campaign for that. What this is going to do is try and get you the maximum number of sales, not the maximum number of high value sales. You choose your pixel, and it's always got the tick if conversions API and the pixel is set up. Then you have the conversion event. If you notice here, it's got a bunch of active events. So we can choose which event we want Meta to optimize for. We could say, we want you to find us the most number of purchases at the lowest possible cost. And you'll see the default value that it has selected here is purchase. However, we could change that to go further up the funnel, and it may be, say, add to cart. Now, more people will do that, of course. There's always going to be more people add something to your cart than there will be go through and complete the purchase. And therefore, it will get data on the types of people that are adding to cart. But if we ask it to do add to carts, it won't really care how many people subsequently go on and complete the purchase. So for that reason, our recommendation is leave it on purchase unless it's been running for, say, 3-4 weeks, and then we can see, okay, there's just not enough people going through and completing the purchase. We might bring it forward to, say, add to cart to just give it more data and help it to optimize. But generally, if you're not getting enough people go through and complete the purchase, and you've got the ad budget at that right level, minimum of $20 to $30 per day, then usually the issue is not the ads, it's actually conversion rate on your site. You probably want to focus on that first. If we had an event that wasn't an online transaction, we can set that up in Events Manager, and it might be complete an online form, and we can choose that particular event. So this is what I was talking about, those single brand advertisers that can be D2C or B2B, where you're targeting an action on your website that's not someone pulling out their credit card and buying something. So if that were the case, you would simply just choose that particular event, and the whole campaign is going to optimize towards that event. Okay. Cost per result goal. What this is asking Meta to do is try and keep your cost per result, so cost per purchase or cost per lead form completion, at a certain level. Unless you've been running your campaigns for quite some time and you've got a really strong grasp on what your cost per result goal is, we don't recommend using this. I know it sounds great. You're like, oh, I'll just put in $10. If you put in $10 and it can't get you results for that price, what will happen is you won't spend any of your budget, which is not what you want, right? This is not something we generally recommend unless you've been advertising for at least 6 months. Even then, it tends to throttle ad spend, so don't use that feature. Now, audience location, you'll see here, it's defaulted to Australia. In the past, we have those demographic interests, those behavioral interests, etc. What has changed now is we're going really broad. It's going for a super broad audience to begin with. It's saying, look, leave it to us. We'll work out who's responding to these ads, and then we'll put it in front of more people like those people. But there is this option if you go into what's called your advertising settings. There's a couple of things I want to point out in here. The first is what's called account controls. There's two things in here. There's audience controls and then there's placement controls. If I click on audience controls, you'll see that there's a couple of options where you can say to Meta, there's certain types of people I can't or I don't want to advertise to. It may be that your business can only advertise in specific locations. You would go in here and you would include those particular locations. Don't do this super targeted. If you are a local business that's targeting a relatively small geographic catchment area, then Advantage Plus shopping is probably not best for you. Because remember, we've got to keep that audience really broad initially. This is what it relies on. So you can advertise your business to people in specific locations, type in like literally a whole country. Let's go United Kingdom. Okay. Also age restricted. So it defaults at 18 plus, but let's just say you're selling something to aged care homes and you know that you only need to hit people over 55. You can come in here and change that age restriction. There's a few other things about certain audiences you've got to restrict your brand from. And then also if you don't want your employees to see these things, but these are pretty unique situations. So you can come in here and set those audience controls up if you need to. The second thing that I wanted to show you in these advertising settings is what's called audience segments. What we do is we effectively tell Meta who our engaged audience is. And the reason we do this is because, number one, it will show you the ad results by people who are, in your definition, engaged. But the second reason we do it is because it does provide Meta with a little bit of data initially on who they should target. People are interested in your brand and you think might respond well to the ads. And then if Meta finds that that group is not working as well, it will move more to an explicit audience, which means that it will go a lot more broad and try and find new audiences outside of those. For example, you can create a custom audience. Here's one that we've already created. Website visitors for the last 90 days is usually a good indication of people who are engaged with your particular business. Then you can also choose your existing customers. You're going to be able to see all of the conversions that have occurred for those people that are existing customers. But also you're telling Meta, hey, look, these are the people that have already bought from me. And they're able to profile those people, give it that initial bit of data. So hopefully that will speed up that whole learning process that it needs to go through to do that. Okay. I would recommend you jump into your advertising settings, look at the account controls and the audience segments, and do that before you launch your first Advantage Plus shopping campaign. Let's jump back into the campaign. You can see the locations here. These are the included locations. You can just add a different location as well, say United Kingdom, and it will add that on top. You don't want to worry if on the right-hand side here, it's incredibly large audience. In fact, probably the larger, the better when we get started. It's a different way of thinking to the way in which we have done things in the past. It's allowing Meta's AI to do it automatically for you. Budget, I've already talked you through. You can, if you want to, use what's called an existing budget cap. I generally don't recommend doing that in the early stages. We can always look at the data after the campaign's been running for a little bit of time and say, maybe we only want to spend a certain amount on our existing customers, because you might have a product, people only buy once every 4 or 5 years. So we don't want Meta to continually be serving ads to those people when you know that they're unlikely to buy from you again. Or you might have a product that's fast-moving consumer good where people buy it every month and you do actually want to spend a lot more money on that. Initially, I think leave this unticked, but it is something, depending on how the data is going down the road, you could come in and put an existing customer budget cap on. You work out when you want to run your campaign, and then you're down pretty much into the setting up an ad. So we're moving down now into the ad. You'll see here that you can create what's called an Advantage Plus catalog ad. And this is where it gets really exciting, because not only have we now got these Advantage Plus shopping campaigns that are quicker and easier to set up, and we're told deliver a lot better results than some of the previous campaigns that we've set up. And certainly our experience is that they are delivering a lot better results. But what we can also do, if you are an e-commerce business, so you've got your e-commerce store connected correctly using Commerce Manager into Meta Ads Manager, then what we can do is what's called a catalog ad. And if we click on create ad here, what you'll see is that a new ad variation will appear here on the left-hand side. And you don't have to do it up here. You can also do it once we move down. So I'm just going to delete this for now. But what's exciting about these catalog ads is that it will automatically pull the information that you have in your product catalog, the images, the title of the product, the description that you have for the product, the price, its availability, etc. All of that data that you have in your Shopify catalog, or maybe it's your Wix e-commerce catalog or BigCommerce, whatever platform you're using. And Meta's going to pull that into the Meta ad platform, and it's going to automatically create ads that you can serve in this Advantage Plus shopping campaign. They call it Advantage Plus catalog ads. Advantage Plus catalog ads aren't just available in Advantage Plus shopping campaigns. You can use them in the other types of campaigns as well. It's just that if we combine both Advantage Plus shopping campaigns and the Advantage Plus catalog ads, we have something that is very low maintenance. All we have to do is keep our product catalog updated and make sure the information in that is correct, because if it's not, your ads are going to be incorrect as well. But it will automatically run variations of your ads showing your products in your product catalog that are most likely to be responded by users. It's on a user by user basis, Instagram user or Facebook user. They're working out which products in your catalog that they're responding to, and then making sure that they show them those ads. Really simplifies ad creation, and it just really simplifies that whole audience targeting process that used to be quite complicated. Okay, we'll move down into the ad level now. You need to have your Facebook page, your Instagram account. You can either manually create an ad at this stage, or you can have that catalog ad. So selecting catalog here was the same as selecting that bottom option. If we select the catalog, and this is the one I'm going to show you today, I'm not going to show you the manual upload. Doing the ad creative is a whole nother topic, but I will just quickly show you catalog ads because it started to automatically pull through those products from your shopping catalog. You can choose whether or not you want to run a single image or video, if you do have videos in your product catalog, or you can choose a carousel. And if you choose the carousel, what it's doing is automatically creating these carousels from the products in your catalog. Because these Advantage Plus shopping campaigns are not just targeting people who have expressed interest in your brand before, but also targeting cold audiences, people that have never, ever heard about you before. This is a really great option. And this is generally the first one that we recommend because it's going to provide the user, the people on the other end that you're trying to sell to, with a variety of the different products that you have, and therefore allow them to scroll through and look at not just the different products you have, but different product categories that you offer. So if you're a high SKU business, in this particular example, I think Wilkie Design has something like 600 different SKUs. This is amazing. This is going to save you so much time in terms of setting up ads that you used to take forever to create a whole bunch of ad variations. Not only that, the ad algorithm is going to be continually optimizing and working out the products that people respond best to. If you scroll down, you select the product catalog that you need. You can choose groups of products. You can create what's called a product set, or you can just choose your total product catalog overall. Do all products initially, because you might think that certain groups of products are going to sell better online, but until you let these ads run and you get the data, you just don't know. If we use our Advantage Plus catalog ads, what it will do is it will automatically link to the relevant product. It's called a deep link. So if you have a carousel with all of the products in your shopping catalog and someone clicks on a particular product in that carousel, it's not going to take them through the homepage of your website. It will take them through to that specific page. So you don't have to set up any of those links, which is really great. When you finally come down with the carousel cards, there's a couple of options. You can either have this first one as a static image or as a slideshow where it's showing a variety of different products in that first one. Don't be worried too much about the preview. It's a bit buggy. It doesn't always work. If you do select this option, then it will mix up that first one. Generally, I recommend single image to allow people to scroll through themselves. Then the final thing I wanted to show you was you're able to automatically add fields from your shopping catalog and use them as the headline or the primary text. To do that, you click on this plus here. And for example, you can have your product name, and that product name will be what appears here over on the side. But if I was to delete that and put brand, then you'll see that now the brand Wilkie Design is actually the headline of that particular ad. We recommend to have the name of the product as the headline. And then if you come down to the primary text, this is where you can add the description. But you don't have to. You could type in whatever you like here. And this is the primary text. That primary text appears over here. By default, it's showing you the Facebook feed. But if you click on the advanced preview, it's going to show you what your ad's going to look like on all the different placements, not just Facebook, Instagram feed, Instagram Reels, Instagram stories, and so forth. Okay. That's how you do the Advantage Plus shopping campaigns with the Advantage Plus catalog ads. The other option that you have is you can do a manual upload. When you choose manual upload, you'll notice when you come down here, everything looks a little bit different. That's normal. But when you do this, you can add a series of cards. You can either upload images, your own images that you've created in Canva that you want to use in the ad, or you can choose an existing organic post. Maybe you posted something on Instagram that had a lot of engagement. You can choose that particular piece of content to use in the ad. And there's a lot more that goes into the ad creative in setting that up, but this process is pretty much the same for nearly all of the ads that you're going to create on Meta. So that's it. Once you've done that, you've set up your campaign. You want to make sure that its tracking's correct. You hit publish. So certainly a very streamlined campaign, conscious that I'm doing this in a short period of time. Of course, there is a lot more to it than this, but hopefully that gives you a flavor of exactly how easy and quick it is to set up these campaigns and how beneficial it will be if you fall into that category of having someone that has a shopping catalog on there. Now we've talked about how you set up these Advantage Plus shopping campaigns. I want to talk about some of the ad creative ideas that you can use in an Advantage Plus shopping campaign. The first one, of course, is Advantage Plus catalog ads. This is the number one recommendation that I generally have for ASC campaigns because it provides so much variety for users. They're seeing all your different products and they're seeing them in different formats, particularly if you're using carousel, and they're not going to get that ad fatigue for quite some time. And it's a really great way to make people aware of your brand, but also for people that have already interacted with you to engage with your ads. The second type of ad that I really love is what's called an us versus them. We're not calling out one particular competitor. We're comparing your product against a general kind of product. We were doing one the other day for a gym and focuses on pre and postnatal workouts for women. What we did there was us being Active Mum, which is the name of the gym, versus them, which is a generic gym, right? You're comparing the benefits of your particular product or service versus someone else. The next one is what's called a features ad. And this is where you put a picture of your product or some sort of iconography representing your product or service. And you just have the main features of your product and you point them out. A variation of this is the same thing, but with a quote up the top, a testimonial from the customer. Super simple ads work really well, either as a static or as a video. And this is something that takes literally seconds to make, but has that feel of being like user-generated content. Here's a really good example that came from marketingexamples.com, where all they did was put their product on a table and wrote on a Post-it note, and that was it. And it was a really high-performing ad. I've seen ones where people write something in the sand on the beach and then throw a bucket of water over it. Or I've seen ones where people write something in chalk or people holding up placards. There's lots of fun ideas that you could do. Sometimes they're called ugly ads as well, but The thing about this content is they're at home on social media. They don't stand out as much as being ads, but they look more like the content that you're seeing from other people. That's why they can be quite effective. And they're also really quick. You'll be able to whip something like this up on Canva in not much time, which is what we want. UGC ads, of course, are going to do really well. This is where you engage a creator to create the ad for you. They're all over social media at the moment because they work. They're really effective. And you don't have to do the thinking. Let someone who does nothing more than make content every single day make that content for you. They'll share it to their followers, which is good for you to get some reach into their network. But the main thing here is that you take that ad creative and turn it into an ad yourself. Also, you can have these before and after UGC ads, which are great. Here's an example pulled off a YouTube video, actually. Here, a creator saying, this is what it's like with a baggy tee. And then this is what it's like with my true classic tee afterwards. There are restrictions when it comes to before and after ads. You can't do weight loss and you can't do idealized results. Don't use the words before and after because it will usually automatically get banned, but then you can appeal it. Meta has a guide on before and after ads, so you can definitely do them. There's just certain things you can't do with this that you need to be aware of. Static testimonials are really good. So many ways you can do this. You can take screenshots of a positive comment that people left on social media. You can design something in Canva. You can take a screenshot of an online review that someone's given you. Or you can do static statistics. Here's a good one. Are you pouring on the pounds? Are you drinking 40 packets of sugar and just 3 sugary drinks a day? Came from New York City Health. These ones where you provide people with a statistic can be really effective. In the ideal world, where we want to get to with our Advantage Plus shopping campaigns is we're not 100% reliant on those catalog ads if we're using them, but we're actually using a bunch of different ad creatives within that Advantage Plus shopping campaign. What you can do is you can just simply duplicate that ad and then change whatever it is that you want. Maybe this ad is the us versus them ad that you have, and then this ad is your features call out ad. And eventually we have a whole bunch of different ad creatives in there, in addition to the catalog, if you are able to use that. And what the ad algorithm will do is it will mix up the ads that are being shown to people, which means you've got even more variety of different ads. I talk about this need to earn the right of people's attention. People move through feeds so quickly, and like a good subject line on an email, you've got to jar them. You've got to give them a reason to stop. We just run the same ads over and over again. Eventually, people are going to tire of them. They're going to move past them really quickly. So we want to have a lot of different contrasting ads within there. And so we just run that and then let the ad algorithm work out which one performs best. They will all get a little bit of budget, but generally 1 or 2 will get most of the budget, 60, 70% of it. And it will show the ad that performs the best. A couple of things with ad creative best practices for Advantage Plus shopping campaigns. Start with catalog ads first. They're quick, they're easy, there's lots of variety, but of course this doesn't apply to everyone. But if it does apply to you, always recommend that you start with that first. Test different formats. So even if you're starting with the catalog ad, once you get a little bit of traction from it, try and test within that Advantage Plus shopping campaign different formats. So maybe if you started with carousel, try static, or maybe try creating a slideshow where it's basically a video of 10 single images as opposed to a carousel ad. If you're not using the catalog ads and you are creating something that you do resize all of the images so that it fits each of the different aspect ratios. The ones in the feed, it's generally recommended they're square 1:1, vertical 9:16, and horizontal, which is Marketplace and a few other ad placements 1:1.9. Address different audience motivations. That's why I wanted to include the examples or creative ideas that we have, because we are hitting cold audiences, warm audiences. We're combining awareness campaigns with retargeting all in the one campaign. There's lots of different people in different stages of buying from you with different motivations. We want to make sure that we have a variety of ad creatives that talks to each one of those different motivations. And we don't want to have slight variations in our ad creatives. I want you to mix it up and make sure they're really different. We don't want to use the same looking ad over and over again, because even if it's different, it's not going to jar people. And that's what we need to do. We need to have a really big variety of ads that are quite different formats, different messaging, different imagery, videos, etc. If you do have ad creative that's worked well in the past for you in a non-Advantage Plus shopping campaign, then you can bring that creative into Advantage Plus shopping campaign, and it should all other things being equal, work quite well. When you have an ad creative that is working well within an Advantage Plus shopping campaign, what you can do is try a different message, but on the same visual of that ad. Or you could try the same message on a completely different visual as well. So the ad might be performing well because the messaging is really good, in which case you could try it on a few different visuals. Or the ad might be working well because people really like the visual, and you could try a few different messaging variations, i.e. the text over the top of an image. And then the final thing, a bit more of an advanced strategy, but in the beginning, I did mention to you, you can have a completely separate campaign that's not an Advantage Plus shopping campaign that you use to test ad creatives, and then you only move it into Advantage Plus shopping campaigns when it does perform. But this is a strategy I probably have to talk through with you a bit more, and you do need big budgets. So when we roll out new variations of ad creatives, we do want to have a decent budget for that. And for every new ad creative that you add, you need to be increasing at least $20 per day. If you say starting with $30 a day, you might want to have 2 or 3 different ad creatives. But if we keep adding ones in, if we have 7, 8, 9, what you're asking it to do is split that budget amongst so many different ad creatives. It's going to get really hard to work out which one's performing best. So every time we add net new ad creatives into our Advantage Plus shopping campaigns, then ideally we should be increasing the budget to allow it to serve it and work out which ad creative is working the best. Our paid subscription, we do 1 live workshop every month hosted by a social media expert. We're very big fans of live learning because it's in your diary and it's scheduled. All you need to do is turn up and you'll get the learning done instead of having to try and motivate yourself to learn it. You have full access to our course library, which has 17 different social media platform and social media marketing principle topics. We also have 3 group coaching sessions every week. And this is really the secret sauce to what we do with the SMC Pro. You're not just learning from challenges you're having, but other people are having as well. We help you to implement this stuff. You've got someone to talk to. You've got 2 options. You're either pay an agency a couple of $1,000s a month, which is risky and often doesn't work out. In fact, we usually get the call when people have burned through 2 or 3 agencies, mainly because they don't know what the agency is doing, like how to hold those people accountable, or you do it yourself, which is probably even more expensive because you're most likely going to make a ton of mistakes. We sit in the middle where you do the work, but we are there to advise you and just make sure you don't get lost in your own head. And there's 3 sessions a week, so about 13, 14 of these sessions every single month, where we help you implement what you've learned and just support you in your journey. The SNC Pro subscription is $397 per month. You can cancel anytime. Sign up for 1 month if you just want to give it a go. And that's all you're going to risk for 1 month. US, that's $257 per month. Or you can get a 30% discount if you go for an annual plan, but you do need to pay upfront for that. So that works out to be Australian dollars, $3,324, and USD 127 per month. We're about to start selling one-off tickets to these workshops for $767 Australian. So just taking up the subscription for 1 month to attend 1 workshop makes it worthwhile. But if you combine the fact that you get access to all the courses and the coaching sessions, it's incredible value. You can go to pro.socialmediacollege.com/start to sign up in Australian dollars, or if you do want it in US dollars, go to /start USD. If you want to have a call with me, if you want to have a chat just to see if this is the right option for you, you can book a call directly with me, calendly.com/Jonathan Tanner. Question time. First question was Miss G. Do you think add to cart is a good move when trying to reach your audience, i.e. tall women? Meta does recommend that if you're not getting the results with the purchase of conversion event, that you do bring it up the funnel and move it to say add to cart. In our experience, so I'm talking about myself and Sam, who's our paid ad expert, we haven't ever seen it really work. And I think usually if you're not getting enough conversions, it's most likely the budget. I actually focus more on the budget than changing the conversion event. If you've got products which are $40, $50, then you'll find that you're going to get a lot of conversions quite quickly. If you're selling something that's $1,000 or $10,000, some people sell products online for that much. Of course, it's going to take a lot longer and your budget's going to need to be a lot higher. Generally, no, don't recommend changing that conversion event. It was probably more just letting you know you can do that, but we'd want to tweak with the budget a little bit before we recommend doing that. When you say I need a website set up with a pixel, could that website be a single page conversion landing page? Absolutely. Absolutely. So you can have a single web page, a single landing page that has the pixel and the conversions API set up. In fact, that's best practice, because when you have a landing page, there's nothing else for people to click on. So what that means is that you are more likely to get people to take the action that you want. What about if your conversion event is download rather than a sale? You can use Advantage Plus shopping campaigns for any conversion event. You just need to tell it what event it is that you want. Okay. So even though they're called Advantage Plus shopping, they do 100% work for businesses that don't transact online, that are targeting a particular action on their website. How specific can I be with geographical audience? I work customers only within 20 kilometers of the Perth CBD. If you're that business, I probably say Advantage Plus shopping is not going to work for you. If we're targeting a small geographic catchment area, it's not going to be the right one for you. Can you have both going under the same Advantage Plus, as in manual and catalog ads going? If you create a second ad, then yes, you duplicate that ad, and then one of your ads is the catalog ad, and then another of your ads is a static ad. Okay. And what you're basically doing is asking the ad algorithm to work out which of the ads works better. Is it the catalog ad or is it the static ad? Just be aware that for every new ad creative that you add, you're splitting your budget between it effectively. When you split that budget, it's just going to take longer for it to work out. On the one hand, we need a variety of ad creatives to make sure people don't encounter ad fatigue. On the other hand, the more we do that, the more we splinter the budget, the longer it takes the ad algorithm to work out. So there's a trade-off in having those ads. That's, again, if you've got the ability to do catalog ads, provide enough variety to people that we don't need to go and have all these different options. Once the ad is created and running, will it include products added to the catalog later? Yes, it's pulling in that data. As long as your catalog is synced to Meta correctly in Commerce Manager, which is a free tool within Meta Business Manager, then any new products that you add or existing products that you archive will automatically be pulled off the ads. Meta doesn't want people seeing an ad on their platform and then going through to the website and seeing that product's out of stock or that product is no longer sold. Okay. And this is why those catalog ads are so efficient, because all you have to do is keep your catalog updated and it'll keep your ads automatically updated as well. Is there a whole course on meta ads at SMC? Absolutely. We have a 24-part video series on meta advertising. We also have a course on Meta Business Suite, which helps you to navigate all of the meta tools. They're very big and daunting. We have a whole bunch of other resources. And Sam King is our paid ad expert. He spent over about 10 million through the meta ad platform. He's on once a week as one of our coaches as well. Adding to Advantage Plus duplicate and launching with creatives or add to existing Advantage Plus. I think what you're asking, Miss G, is do you want to have multiple Advantage Plus shopping campaigns? Your Advantage Plus shopping campaign should be like a super campaign that has all of your best ad creatives in it. You don't really want multiple Advantage Plus shopping campaigns unless there's a good reason for it. Pamela, if you're recommending to let it run for 2-3 months, should you keep it on catalog creatives the whole time? Or do you recommend adding 2 or 3 manual creatives, say after the first month? 2 to 3 weeks is generally the time where you're going to be able to tell whether or not catalog ads are performing. We had another fashion label we've been working with. After 2 or 3 weeks, it was pretty clear the ads were doing quite well. They were doing what they were intending to do, which is getting people to the e-commerce store for relatively low cost per click. The link click-through rate was decent, but what was happening was they just weren't adding to cart. They weren't completing purchases when they got to the website. So the focus then shifted on, we left the ads on, we focused on conversion rate optimization tactics to try and increase the number of conversions that were occurring. It depends on the results you're getting from the ads as to what you would do. One of the key things we do in our coaching sessions is exactly that. We're just constantly looking at the results and saying, all right, what's next? What should we do? Is it time to increase budget? Is it time to add more creative options? There's a lot of variables that would go into that, Pamela. Melissa's just given a massive plug for SMC Pro. It's the best thing in the world. Strongly suggested, especially if you are by yourself in your business. It helps me so much. Thank you very much, Melissa. Very kind for you. Thank you for sharing all of those lovely sentiments. We do have a feedback survey on these masterclasses. You can pull out your phone and look at the QR code there and complete that survey. If we don't hear from you, we don't know. Did you like this? Did you not like this? Is there something we could have done better? Are there certain topics you'd like please go through, complete that feedback survey. We love this. I personally read every single survey that is completed, and it does help us. Look out for the next one coming up. If you go to the free courses section, you can get a recording of every single one of our masterclasses that we've done over the past 2 years. They're now completely free. What's the catch? There is none. They're there for you. All right, that's it for me. I hope you've got a lot out of today's session. Thank you so much